The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind. So to move from more common fight and flight mode of operation to a desired rest and digest state, exhale deeply and forcefully out to clear the lungs from air. Move your attention from the brain to the body by touching your heart. Inhale slowly and gently. Fill your lungs with love and exhale slowly and deeply with gratitude to Almighty. God, thank you for granting me the serenity to accept Geula redemption here and now as the only true reality, for giving me the courage to change my Galut exile duplicity mindset to Geula unity consciousness, and the wisdom to know how to publicize this truth of unfolding redemption to the world. As the prophet of our generation, King Moshiach, also known as Lubavitcher Rebbe, asked of me. Short story. The criminal is sentenced to death. Before the execution, the king says to him, "You can choose either the gallows or what awaits you behind this open door." The criminal thinks and chooses the gallows, but when they had already thrown a rope around his neck, he turned to the king. "Your Majesty, what is there behind that open door?" "There is freedom," the king answers. "But for some reason, everyone chooses the gallows." People are so addicted to familiar, even if it means suffering and death, because they're simply afraid of unknown, even if it could mean bliss. Precisely 31 years ago, on the 17th day of Tammuz, associated with fasting and mourning, King Moshiach Lubavitcher Rebbe prophetically announced that since the Soviet Union fell apart and there is no subjugation of the Jews in the whole world, those that don't want to, don't fast. The prophet of the generation, so to speak, opened the door to a completely new service of God. Now we have a choice to stop fasting and mourning and start feasting and celebrating instead. The rules of the game have changed. Until now, we were dependent on the Rebbe to make our choices. But now that we're already in the days of Mashiach and stepping into Geula redemption, King Mashiach threw the ball in our court. He didn't lead by example here because that would obviously defeat the purpose and take away the freedom of choosing to feast from us and make the whole Geula choice irrelevant. Once a father of a boy who shaved his beard asked the Rebbe to tell his son to grow a full beard instead. The Rebbe answered, "If I tell him to grow one, then it's not his beard, but mine." So are you ready to embody Geula? Just like you ingest godly essence by eating matzah on Pesach, in the same way you ingest the essence of Geula, and it becomes a part of you on all levels by enjoying the physical food when feasting instead of fasting. And when you do that, you literally become partners with God in co-creating and revealing the truth of Geula here and now by redeeming yourself and the whole world. For 31 years, that open door, like in a prisoner's story, is waiting for us to leap into a brave new reality of Geula. Our generation became worthy and merited that the Lubavitcher Rebbe King Moshiach, as a prophet of biblical proportions, announced to us this new way of serving God. Which one would you rather? By choosing the old way of fasting instead of moving towards Geula unity consciousness, you perpetuate the outdated reality of Galut duplicity mindset. So if you really want to see what's behind that open door the prophet opened for us, you need to stop waiting and start celebrating. The choice is yours. The time is now. And to top it all off, in the same year of 1991, King Moshiach told us that God needs every Jew to agree, will, and proclaim that not only the time of redemption has come, but it's already here and now literally. And later he added to open the eyes to see true and complete redemption in a simple sense. The era of the redemption is described as the day which is entirely Shabbat, and rest for life everlasting. According to Jewish law, when fast days fall on Shabbat, they are pushed away till the next day, Sunday, like it happens this year, 2022, since we don't fast on Shabbat. So how can I fast and mourn this Sunday, or any other day for that matter, after such bombshell public announcements that we're already in this very era of redemption, which is all Shabbat, totally? So here's how my friends, my family and I agree with God, will and proclaim Geulah here and now, and open the eyes by switching from fight and flight exhausting exile mode of operation into well-deserved rest and digest joyous Geulah unity consciousness state with a physical feasting and celebration of redemption reality.
Years I heard Rabbi Groner say before every Tainus, Has v'shalom, Mashiach doesn't come, there will be a fast. But hello, Mashiach came already, there's no fast.
As the Rebbe said on Chof Ches Sivan 5751, he said a Jew has to admit, agree, desire and proclaim that the Geulah is here by having this Suda here, where Sudas Yom Tov, we're agreeing, desiring and proclaiming to everybody, to the whole world. Otherwise, why would we be celebrating this? Not only that, right now I'm going to be making a broch on Geulah. I'll explain in a sec. There's a story, very quick story, that once a little boy wanted an apple very badly. He knew his father had an apple.
This is funny.
He didn't know how to get it, so he asked once, twice. The father said no, but the father had an apple. So the boy was smart, figured it out that by saying a brocha, a blessing on the apple, the father will have to give him this apple, otherwise it would be a blessing in vain. Therefore, by having a Suda here and making a brocha on Geulah, we, so to speak, asking the Eibishter, enforcing the Eibishter, hey, we're saying the brocha now, you better reveal Geulah for all of us. Ihi Adoneinu, Moreinu, V'Rabbeinu, Melech HaMashiach, Le'elam Boyer. Savri Moronon, Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Beirei Pri HaGofer. Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Sheyonu V'Keimonu V'Geyonu Lizman Hazeh. Amen. Don't see it. I saw once interesting explanation. It was on Mashiach.ru. It was brought up. Baruch Hashem, thanks to Shalom Lugov for creating this site. And over there it says on Mashiach.ru, and I think the lady's name is Mrs. Perlov, and thanks to Mrs. Perlov for such a beautiful explanation. She's asking, how do you open the eyes? So she's bringing an example of a little baby. When the baby is born, it comes out. First thing it sees, the world upside down. That's number one. Second thing it sees nothing. It's close to nothing. Because for the next 6 weeks it's barely any sight at all. I don't know what it is. It's definitely not 2020. It would barely recognize the father and the mother, but that's about it. Maybe even by voice or smell. And only after that, so we're talking about weeks upon weeks until the sight becomes a clear sight of the reality. Not only that, the baby wants to go back into the comfortable womb, because the world is a very uncomfortable place. It's cold, and it's kind of strange, and you're not used to it. So you wonder what meaning. Oh, we need to realize that Geulah is here, but we just came out of the womb. We see everything's upside down. Yes, the world doesn't look like that it's the right place, Everything's upside down. We see lots of problems in the world. But that's only because we see it upside down. That's number one. Second of all, that's what we see. That's not necessarily what the reality is. We know that the reality is completely different because our eyes are not 2020 yet. We're not used to the Geulah yet. We have to have a readjustment period. And only then, many of us want to go back to Golus, to the exile, because it's more comfortable. And suddenly the Rebbe Melech Mashiach tells us we have to go out of the womb, into the world. It's the time already now. So how are we going to do this? by doing physical things which we're not used to. Actually, the Rebbe said something more important, that we should accustom ourselves to dancing with joy, to Geula by dancing. The prophet told us, have no fear. Let's celebrate Moshiach's here. Forget the tension and live redemption. Let's celebrate. No worries, mate.
No worries, mate.
Forget the fear.
Forget the fear.
Moshiach's here.
Moshiach's here.
Let's dance and sing.
Dance and sing.
Long live the King.
Long live
The
the King.
prophet told us, have no tension. Open your eyes and see redemption. Forget the fear.
Forget the fear.
Moshiach's here.
Moshiach's here.
Let's celebrate.
Let's celebrate.
No worries, mate.
No worries,
Forget the tension and live redemption. Let's dance and sing
Dance and sing.
and greet the King.
And greet the King.
The prophet told us, have no fear. Let's celebrate. The Moshiach's here.
Oh.
Forget the tension and live redemption. Let's celebrate. No worries, mate.
No worries, mate.
Forget the fear.
Forget the
The
fear.
redemption's here.
Redemption's here.
Let's dance and sing.
Dance and sing.
Long live the King.
Long live-
The Rebbe is the boss. King Moshiach, the Rebbe is the prophet. King Moshiach, the Rebbe is the essence. King Moshiach is alive and well. The Rebbe is the judge. King Moshiach, the Rebbe is the coach. King Moshiach, the Rebbe is the man. King Moshiach is alive and well, and he has redeemed us. And he has redeemed us. And he has redeemed us. Moshiach's here.
Moshiach's here. Moshiach's here. Dance and sing.
And celebrate. Освобождение пришло, освобождение пришло. Moshiach.